He's Albert Breer, the Monday Morning Quarterback, their senior NFL reporter, and he joins us from Florida at the owners' meetings. There's a lot on the table, a lot on the agenda. Let me start with the tush push. When is that being voted on today?
They're in the room now doing their votes, so that could come down, anytime. I'd say over the next, I would say within an hour, hour and a half, we'll probably know one way or the other.
What's your sense?
My sense is there's a ton of argument, in the room over it. And I know, Howie Roseman stood in front of the room the other day and basically asked for the injury data. And when they said, well, there isn't really any injury data, there haven't been injuries on it, he then said, okay, well, give me the difference in injuries between this and a conventional quarterback sneak, and they couldn't do that. Dr. Alan Sills, the chief medical officer for the league, then said, like, well, what we're worried about based on the posture is that this could create a catastrophic, or catastrophic head and spine injuries. And then, Mike Vrabel and Jim Harbaugh actually, spoke up and, got into the way the rule was, how specifically written it is. Like it's written about, it's written in a way where it's, it applies to pushing behind the center. So Vrabel asked, well, what if the quarterback is running behind the guard? Can you push him then? And Harbaugh came up with the idea. He's like, well, what if I put two extra linemen? And this would be the most Harbaugh formation ever, I think. What if I put two extra linemen behind the guards and had them push the guards and not touch the quarterback? So there's been healthy debate. I just think my sense right now, Dan, is if the commissioner really wants to get this thing through, and I'm a little more certain where he stands on the kickoff than I am on this. If the commissioner really wants to get it through, maybe he tables it and they tweak it and work it a little bit and vote it again in May. I don't know that they have the 24 votes right now to get it through and ban it.
Yeah, that was my feeling. That at first I thought there just felt like there's this groundswell. And all of a sudden, there was a lot of, you got to get it out of the game. And then one of my sources said, there's no data. Like they're searching for data that's not there. They're desperate to find that. And therefore, if you don't have that data, it's really hard to say we're going to create a rule, get rid of a rule because of one team. And
that's my problem with it. You know what I mean? It's like, why should we be getting rid of something because one team is really good at it, you know?
What are the other things that have been or will be decided or voted on today?
So the overtime proposal passed, which basically makes.
Hold on a second, Albert. We got a little breakup in your connection there, so we'll come back to you. Todd, see if you can help Albert with his connectivity there. By the way, the men's Final Four, the odds, Houston was a 4.5-point underdog. They're now a 5.5-point underdog against Duke. And Florida's still a 2.5-point favorite against Auburn. Yes, Eaton?
This is a terrible day to be doing all this voting and announcing all this news.
The April Fools?
Yeah, there was just ESPN just had a thing that said, breaking news, NFL, both teams will get the ball in overtime, blah, this and that. I didn't even bother reading it all because I'm like, I don't even know if this is true. I really have no idea.
Well, you can joke about a lot of things, but nobody wants to joke about the NFL. It just feels like that makes headlines, and people will click on that. Yes, Paulie.
One thing Albert said there, I didn't know the NFL had the power to do. If they don't feel like they have the votes, they could table this to May and look at it again. I thought this was like deciding day. That's interesting.
Yeah. But I don't know. It feels like, once again, the commissioner wants to take this out of the game. It's predictable, aesthetically not pleasing. You're in the entertainment business. There's no data that says that, hey, look at all these injuries. Todd, did we reconnect with Albert? We'll see if it sounds a little bit better. So the overtime rule that was just passed, can you explain that?
Yeah, so like basically it's going to take what's been playoff overtime the last couple of years and make it overtime across the board. The original proposal actually pushed for a 15-minute period. They tweaked that and moved it back to being a 10-minute period, which I think is interesting because if you're the team that receives the kickoff, wouldn't you just immediately go into your 4-minute offense, right? Like, wouldn't you immediately start running the clock? So that could add an interesting dynamic. My guess would be that they wanted to go to 10-minute overtime because maybe the broadcast partners don't want to be pushing outside the normal window too far. And then, it's like adding plays to a game, which is a health and safety thing. The Lions proposal got shot down to take the automatic first down away from defensive holding and illegal contact. Um, and then the kickoff, I think, is the big one, the other big one that they're going to vote on here.
Now, what is it that they're going to vote on?
So it's to make the kickoff, obviously the new kickoff that they debuted last year, to make that permanent. And then there are some tweaks to that they're trying to go through. And my understanding is that Roger really wants more returns. And the good news is, like, the injury data they have supports that this has worked. What they're saying is that the injury data shows that it's about the same injury rate now on a kickoff as you have on a normal play from scrimmage. So like that part's good. They feel like too many teams were kicking into the end zone. So like with the touchback being at the 30, it's been proposed they move the touchback to the 35 now. I know some coaches are very against that, and so, well, why don't we just move the kicker back 5 yards so it's harder for the kicker to reach the end zone? But the goal here for Goodell seems very much to find a way to create more kickoffs and to create more kickoff returns. And I think there's been enough argument about the different formations and, again, like the different tweaks, that I do think there's a chance that Roger will look at this and say we should table this until May and like go and work through all of the tweaks and decide what's right for this year, and then vote again on it in May.
What about onside kick?
Yeah, so the onside kick is that would allow, and this is just a common sense thing. I don't know why they limited it to the fourth quarter. I don't know why they limited it to you have to be behind, to be honest with you. Maybe I mean, it is a more dangerous play, so maybe they wanted to, make sure that there were fewer of them. But what they would do now is, I think you still have to be behind, but the onside kick would be allowed in all four quarters. Obviously, you have to declare it because it's a completely different formation and play than the modified kickoff.
I know you're busy. Thank you for spending time, Albert.
Anytime, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's Albert Breer, the Monday Morning Quarterback, senior NFL reporter. Tried to get a better connection there, but sorry about that.